Welcome to Live with a Purpose. My name is Felicia Saracino. I am the Director of Business Development here at the Arlington of Naples. Today on our virtual live event, we have Karen Hayes, and she is a service administrator for the emergency department over at Physicians Regional Healthcare System on Collier. And we're going to take a little bit of a behind the scenes look of what is an older adult ER and what they focused on to really create this new environment for our seniors in our area. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Karen. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Good afternoon. As Felicia told you, my name is Karen Hayes, and I am the Service Administrative Coordinator of the Emergency Department here at Physicians Regional on Collier Boulevard. We'd like to thank Felicia for inviting us to present to you today. Before I start telling you a little bit about our older adult ER and show you some of the tour of our ER room, which I'm in, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about everything that the hospital and the emergency department has done to make us what we're calling here COVID safe. I know there's been a lot of concerns in the public to come to a hospital and or an emergency room because of the obvious COVID-19 concerns. And so with that said, I wanted to point out some of the COVID safe procedures we have in place. We have, our entry points are all limited. We have 3 entries to our hospital here at Collier, a visitor's entrance, an outpatient, and emergency. We have limited that down to the outpatient and the emergency entrance. And that way everybody is screened before they enter the building. We have visitor restrictions in place. We have opened our visitation for our inpatients upstairs. And it is limited to 9 to 11 and 5 to 7, and it is limited to 1 visitor. Everybody in the facility, when you're here, you'll see is wearing face masks. They're worn by patients, employees, caregivers at all times. Our cleaning processes have been enhanced, and we are frequently cleaning all touch surfaces in the patient care areas. Procedures that are being done within the hospital are limited, and the patients undergoing those elective surgeries are cleared before coming. So all of those things have really created a very safe environment in the hospital itself for the inpatients as well as for the outpatients. In our emergency department, what we were finding is people were delaying care because of the fear of coming. So we upped the protocols in the emergency room as well. And we don't want you delaying care to come because that can be put you at much risk, just like COVID-19 can. So here, all patients brought into the emergency department will wear a face mask. All medical staff will be wearing one. One of the largest things at Collier Boulevard is all of our ED rooms are private. They're private rooms with a sliding glass door. So you not only have that comfort, you also have that safety. If you come to the hospital and if you should need to be admitted, all patients are, prior to admission, are being COVID-19 tested. If you are negative, you go to 1 floor and you're treated by a medical staff that is only working with you. If you should test positive for COVID-19, there is a entirely separate floor that you go to, and we have a very dedicated staff that works solely with you on that. So there's no intermingling there. And as well, all of our inpatient rooms will be private. So you'll have private rooms in the ED and you'll have private rooms upstairs. So with all that said, I think that should hopefully provide some comfort level that you may not have known about what happens. You might have thought you just wear a mask and come and hope for the best, but the hospital's really, really stepped up all of our protocols and our precautions, and we are very COVID safe. So I want you to be assured of that. Something I was very pleased to be part of was in late April of 2018, we made the decision at Physicians Regional on Collier that due to the demographics of our area, that an older adult was very much needed for an ER. We, with our demographics, see a lot of older adults, and geriatric medicine in itself is a specialty, just like orthopedics or anything else. And since the demographics were so high, we thought, how nice would it be to have an older adult ER? We set out to meet the guidelines. We did that, and we launched in April of 2018. A little bit about our older adult ER. some of the guidelines that we met is all of our rooms are private. So we have 18 private rooms. 4 of these are what we consider high acuity rooms, and they're stationed right around the nurse's station. And there we see higher acuity cases, a possible stroke, a possible heart attack. Somebody with dementia might be there because we need to be able to watch them closely. The entire ED was painted in a senior-friendly color. And so we got away from the white and the gold and the standard hospital colors that you see so often. And we have a beige and a sage, and it's just very soft and soothing. We placed thicker stretcher mattresses on all of our stretchers. And then we invested in lazy boy seating in all of our patient rooms. And the lazy boy seating has the harder, firmer seat with the armrests, and that allows you to be able to get up and down easily. And I'm going to show you these in just a moment. We also put in a large digital calendar clock in all of our patient rooms. And we have a wall-mounted TV in all of the patients' rooms. We additionally have a large remote, which is one of my favorites, actually. The large remote, when I show you this in a few minutes, is not only for the TV, but also for the nurse call button. And because of the size of this, there is no way you could possibly lose it. It's no more that little clicker that gets lost in the bed or under the patient and they can't call for the nurse. This is a large remote that they will never be able to miss. And it will be hanging right on the side of their bed. The other thing we did is on our sliding glass doors, we put all solid curtains and took away the printed curtains, and it ties in with our paint scheme. And the reason for that is that we learned that some patients that suffer with migraines, seizures, dementia, dizziness, the printed curtains can be uncomfortable. It can make them feel dizzy. It can make them feel nauseous. So we went with the solid curtains to eliminate that altogether. One of the largest parts of the older adult ED is that all of our medical staff is required annually to take 10 hours of geriatric education. This is every ED physician, physician assistant, all of our nursing staff, and our ED medical techs. And each year they will learn a different phase of geriatric medicine. So it's constantly moving about different areas of geriatric medicine, as well as providing us with any updates in geriatric medicine from the prior year. So it's extremely helpful to the medical staff. One of the things that we learned in our very first annual education was we learned about the ED being the most difficult for patients with dementia. And it was all sorts of suggestions that they had of ways we might be able to make that better. One of the suggestions we picked up on was if we could play music from their era, that oftentimes this will calm a dementia patient and maybe do away with the need to use medication, for example, or restraints to try to have to be able to put an IV in or do something, and they're very agitated. I am so proud to say that it was the biggest reward for us when we saw this actually implemented and working. We have the greatest hits currently of the 1940s. It's now been going on since, as I said, 2018, and we're now actually getting requests for other eras of time in music. And so we will look at expanding our library of older adult music here. But the medical staff was so taken with it. May not be the first song, it may not be the second song, but eventually that song kicks in and everything just becomes very, very calm and nice, and we're able to work with the patients. So it's very, very rewarding that we learn these things and that we're able to treat these patients in a more compassionate way. One of the other things about our ER that I'm extremely proud about is that approximately 3 years ago, we implemented something called the 30-minute pledge. This is a pledge by our ED team that from the time you arrive, whether you come by EMS or whether you walk in our front door, we commit our pledge that within 30 minutes, you will be seen by a provider, meaning a physician's assistant and or an ED physician. This is reviewed consistently to make sure that we are meeting the pledge, and if we're not, where we're falling short and how we can stay on top of that. It's very rewarding, again, that the average is showing that since we implemented this, we have not only met but exceeded our pledge on an average. And the triage time actually averaged out to be 10 minutes from the time you arrived, and that you were before a provider within 15 minutes. We also host something called a vertical bed area, and we use that mainly in our season. And it's something that, if you're familiar with the term fast track, it's kind of an area where we have chairs, the lazy boy chairs that I'm going to show you in a moment, instead of beds. And we can see people here that maybe present with a fever, a sore throat, an earache, a minor laceration, and they can be treated, given a prescription, and released from this area. And it saves us not having to take them back into the ED and put them in a room and take up that time. It keeps our patient flow so that we can keep that 30-minute pledge going. Our hospital, it's important for you to know, is chest pain certified. And we have just this past month in June opened a cath lab here at the Collier facility. Pine Ridge has had it, but we now at Collier Boulevard have a cath lab. So we're able to do stents and here at Collier. And we are a primary stroke center as well. It's really been such a wonderful 2 years so far, because our staff is so committed to not only the ER and the older adult program, but to the older adults in our community. And we have, prior to COVID-19, been out in our community, and we have gone to a few assisted living facilities, and we've done wellness presentations where we've done with our staff free blood pressure checks and balance checks. And then we get to talk to them about our older adult ER so they have a comfort level. And we also do a presentation on maybe talk about fall prevention or dehydration in older adults or early signs of heart attack or stroke. We're looking forward to returning to that once the reopening of COVID-19 gets us to that point. I'm going to show you a little bit about I'm in one of the regular rooms of the ER, and I want to show you, if I can here, bear with me. Okay, here are the curtains I was talking about. This happens to be a sage curtain, and as you can see, it's a solid curtain. And then we have it in beige as well. This is our calendar clock that is a large digital. And we chose this too because when they give medications, oftentimes the digital is more accurate than those regular timing clocks. So the digital serves the purpose of not only being larger for the patient, but also for the staff. It's a digital. This is our sage wall over here. So you can see the contrast and see that it's really kind of soothing. And then the remote, which is my all-time favorite. This is the remote, and as you can see, there is no way that can get lost in the bed. It's almost the size of the pillow practically, but it is large. And these are the chairs that I was telling you about that are lazy boy chairs, and as you can see with the arms in a firmer seat, it makes it easier to get up and down. All the rooms are a decent size. I'm going to come here and see if I can just scan this for you.
Yeah, are very big.
They are decent rooms. This is a regular, not one of the higher acuities. This is a regular size room. And as you can see, it is, does go quite a ways around, and it is on the larger side. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is that, again, we do understand. We're very, very sympathetic and understanding that COVID-19 is creating a lot of reluctance, especially in our community, to come to the ED. And we just want to assure you that our experienced ED team and our ability to have patients in private rooms, we can provide them with the greatest degree of safety and care. Putting off, older adults a lot of times have, as we know, underlying conditions. And I know that ties in closely with COVID-19 and the fear of that. But underlying condition problems let go can put you at risk just as badly as COVID-19 can. So we urge you, if you are having any problems, to do come. And hopefully this, with Felicia being so gracious to let us do this today, we can give you some assurances of how safe it would be for you to come and get your medical needs taken care of and stay in good health versus trying to ward off coming. I thank you for your attention, and I hope that if we can be of service to you or your loved ones in the near future, you will call upon us for your emergent care. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Karen. I have a couple of questions from some folks that have sent me a message online. They asked, does only the ER get that additional 10-hour training for the geriatric education, or does that go beyond the emergency room?
That's an excellent question. Actually, when we started this in 2018, it is up to this time been only the ER that gets that. But we are starting in 2020, so before the year end, we have looked at bringing that upstairs to our inpatient wards as well.
Wow, that's great. I love that. And so you said a lot about the senior-friendly colors. Someone asked, how did that get decided?
Actually, Sherwin-Williams, believe it or not, has colors called senior friendly. So we were able to pick from those colors. They actually have a whole chart that way. We were given some national guidelines to follow if you want to be an older adult ER. And one of the things that it was suggested was you did need to pick out colors that were kind of brought the outside inside and got rid of the white and the gold and there were definite no-nos like blue, and certain colors for some reason just weren't considered warm, soothing colors. So we went with those guidelines and we used Sherwin-Williams paint selection, and we chose the beige and sage to go with.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I was surprised. They had a whole chart and everything.
Well, that's something that they need to talk about a little bit more. We have to highlight that because especially for senior living companies, that's great to know that Sherwin-Williams has that color palette for seniors.
Senior friendly chart. Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And then is the same thing apply, and you might have someone ask this, for the photos that were hung in the room?
Yes, the same things apply for the photos. Yeah, any pictures on the walls were selected the same way. Yeah, using some guidelines of, keeping them. I mean, I would really love to do some more old world type pictures in the ER, and it's not against us doing that per se, but we kind of went with what was suggested to us, so we're doing that for the time being. But I'd like to bring that era, back into some of the older pictures. I think it would just tie in with everything we're trying to do here.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. I'll never forget the story you told me about the lady coming in. You had mentioned that you had the music therapy on for her.
Yeah.
And that it took a couple of songs to come about.
Yeah, it's not always the first song. I mean, obviously every patient is different and every case of dementia could be different, so you just never know. But, when we did put the song on, nothing. And of course, the medical staff was a little bit leery of that part of it. They were afraid it wasn't working. But once the second song came in, her whole face just relaxed and she smiled and she was able to say hello to us. And it was just like everyone in the room, the medical staff, all looking at each other like, wow, that is just amazing. And so, medical people obviously have been used to handling these situations strictly medically. If somebody is not able to calm down and is thrashing around, oftentimes we have to order medication, so that we can get a chest x-ray, we can get a EKG, we can, find out what she's suffering with. And how wonderful is it to be able to put on music and eliminate that step, and just everybody can kind of bond that way. So it really is very neat.
Yeah, music therapy is a huge part, especially if you have Alzheimer's or dementia, but that's wonderful because the ER can be a very noisy, scary place for seniors or adults, even children in general.
Exactly, it can be. And having the private rooms and the closing of the doors and, the curtains, so you're not claustrophobic. I mean, even like right now with our part of our COVID safe, we're closing the doors in the ER, but we can leave the curtains open so you can still see people coming and going and that sort of thing, so you're not closed in. But you do have that safety and that protection because you are in a private room versus a lot of the ERs that have just full curtains. We do not have that. So.
Yes, and we're blessed to be right down the road from your ER. So we're about 2 minutes away, a 2-minute drive, I think.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you are literally like right across the street a little bit from us. So, yeah.
Yes, and we work together very well. And our residents, we see more of an uptick too with that as well. They're more comfortable coming to the ER because it is a very soothing environment for them to go to.
I'm so glad.
Yes. Well, I don't have any other questions, but I definitely want to thank you so much for your time.
It's always a pleasure.
Yes, it is wonderful. If someone wants to contact you for any questions, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can do that directly on my phone, which would be 239-354-6522.
Wonderful. And this Physicians Regional is at the Collier location, not to be confused with the Pine Ridge location.
Correct.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining Live with a Purpose today. Once again, my name is Felicia Saraceno with the Arlington of Naples. If you want to contact us for any senior living needs, we are a life plan community, which means we have independent living with freestanding homes, assisted living, memory care, and a 5-star skilled nursing facility here. You can call us at 239-307-3000. You can always go on our website, which is arlingtonnaples.org. We also have 2 Facebook pages. One is the Arlington at Oakton Place, and then we have the Arlington of Naples. And we have a YouTube channel where this wonderful virtual tour will be uploaded to for future reference if you want to share with your loved one. But thank you all for joining and have a wonderful day.